I'm joined by a man who guided Ole Miss to the Sweet 16 this past season. It's just the second time in program history that the Rebels have ever been there, and Chris Beard was able to do it in year 2 in Oxford. Joins me live from campus now. It's Chris Beard. Hey, Chris, it's Gary Parrish. How you doing on this Tuesday morning?
Gary, all good here.
Hey,
Thanks for having me.
No, man, I appreciate you being here. You're doing me a favor. Let's start with just this past season. Big picture, Sweet 16 for the second time in school history. That's obviously great stuff. When you look back on it, are you able to focus on that, or do you get caught up on the Michigan State game and how things ended?
A little of both, for sure. But I had a chance to kind of reflect a little bit this spring, probably more than normal. Just very appreciative of our players. You know, I think back of our first team at Ole Miss 2 years ago that really laid the foundation. We'll always be super appreciative of those guys. And then last year's team was special. Really, you know, a basket away from the Elite Eight. You know, it started for us with Matt Morrell and Brakefield, those guys that absorbed the coaching change and decided to trust us. It was very rewarding seeing Matt and Brake play and compete and win in the NCAA Tournament. And all the other guys on last year's team. It was a special group.
And so you do something that has only once before been done at Ole Miss. You're setting attendance records and really building a culture around the program. One of the things when I'm talking about you that I always point out to other people is that, you know, you've held various jobs and have done unprecedented things at Little Rock, unprecedented things at Texas Tech. Now you're on your way to doing similar things at Ole Miss. You're a young man still. It's not the time to reflect on your career, but do you ever take a moment to appreciate that you've been at different places and done things that have never been done before?
You know, each spring and each fall when we recruit players, we get a chance to talk about our program and what we've built over the years. And that always brings back the memories of all the great players we've had. You know, it was Jamal and EK at Fort Scott. It was Mason, those guys at Seminole. And so all down the line, every job we've had, the thing that always comes to mind is the players. And I think last year's Ole Miss team is no exception. You know, I'll always remember Juju and Dre and all those guys that put in the work.
Talking to Chris Beard here live from Ole Miss. So now year 2 in the books, and almost immediately you have to start focusing on what's next. There's no time to really enjoy anything anymore. You have to re-recruit your team, get into the transfer portal. Have you had a day off, a couple of days off? Is there any breaks after the season for an SEC basketball coach these days?
I can't speak for others, but us, the answer to that question is no. Really, the only time we had to breathe a little bit was at the Final Four. You know, Coach Sampson and I are really close, and so but this year with Sampson being in that, you know, that day Sunday in between the game Saturday and the championship game on Monday, that was kind of one day that we were able to breathe a little bit. Even my daughters picked up on it. They're like, "Dad, what's up? You called us 4 times today, and we haven't heard from you 4 times since January." So, but no, not complaining. I mean, we're all blessed to be in this business. Personally, it's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, the coach or the player that complains about this. I mean, it's a privilege to coach and play at this level. Is it challenging right now with the portal? Absolutely, but I wouldn't want to trade it for any other life, that's for sure.
It is. It's an ever-changing sport and has changed probably in the past 5 years more dramatically than it had in the previous 30. And I always find it interesting that for literally decades in your profession, you were told this is the one thing you cannot do, and that's offer money to anybody for anything. And now, unless you are quite literally offering money to somebody, you can't even do your job anymore. In recruiting, how much now is the conversation strictly about how much you or your collective can offer a young man? Does every conversation start right there?
Yeah, I mean, all I can speak about is my life personally, what we go through, and that's not the case with us. I mean, I guess you can call us old school, or you can call us the biggest idiot in the room, or maybe we're the smartest guy in the room. But we've really tried to stay away from that. I mean, we're looking for for players that are making basketball decisions. Now, is the money a part of it? Absolutely. It's no different from a coach pursuing another opportunity or answering a call about another opportunity. Obviously, the financial situation is part of it, no different than my mom's job and my dad's job when he was still alive. And so, but for us personally, we're still trying to win a championship, and we still think it's basketball, and we still think that we're trying to find guys that are making basketball decisions. But there's no denying that the money is a big factor, obviously.
How much of a role do you have to play at Ole Miss in the fundraising part of it? I know at some schools it's just sort of set up. Like, I don't know that John Shire at Duke has to go out there and bang on doors because it's just sort of in place that Duke is going to have a lot of money to spend in whatever way. How much is it your responsibility to rally people from the top of the state down to the bottom to support Ole Miss basketball in the ways that it needs to be supported?
Yeah, I don't know how much of our responsibility it is, but it is a big interest of ours. I would compare it to building a program with home attendance, student section, something that we've always really enjoyed wanting to do and get in on the ground level, roll up our sleeves and work at that because it's what we want to do. And I compare that a lot to our fundraising efforts here with our collective. We have a great collective here. We have the support from our administration, all the way from our chancellor's desk to Keith's desk. But it's just something that I don't think we're asked to do it per se, but we want to do it because we want to get involved in all areas of our program. Again, very parallel to like attendance. We have a marketing team and things like that. Every program we've coached at, now Ole Miss, but we enjoy that part of it. We like to get hands-on because we want to be, a part of the final product. And so just like we work the attendance on a daily basis, we also try to do our part in the fundraising as well.
Everybody can see the pavilion behind you, jam-packed, and it looks like that most games now. In my lifetime, it has not always been that way. I've told this story before. I grew up in North Mississippi. I had a lot of friends who were Ole Miss fans, but they would call themselves Ole Miss football fans, and then they would support Memphis basketball because supporting Ole Miss basketball didn't seem like a reasonable thing for them to do. It didn't really matter. Now, I don't even know that those people exist. If you're an Ole Miss fan, an Ole Miss alum, you care about football and you care about basketball as well. How have you, and obviously the men before you, but how has it been built into something that is filling up an arena and making people care about it in a way that hasn't always existed?
Yeah, I'd say two things. One, we really haven't had to reinvent the wheel. We have not had to build this from the ground level because Ole Miss has had a lot of what I call sneaky tradition. There's been a lot of crowds like the one behind me with Coach Davis, Kermit, with AK, with Coach Barnes, with Coach Evans, with Coach Wetlick. I think the one thing we've tried to do is try to unite everybody and try to make attendance an every game thing, not just the big game. So we've had there's a lot of tradition. There's a lot of people here that care about basketball. It was just getting everybody back under the same umbrella and really setting a higher expectation for all of us, players, coaches, and fans. The second thing, it's been a real team effort here. We benefit from the success that Lane and those guys have had with football, baseball, women's basketball, Olympic sports. So the fan base was already here. True story, I think my second day in Oxford, the baseball team was playing an afternoon game. This was like a weekday, like a Thursday, 3 o'clock game. And I was amazed when I went over to the baseball field. There was 12,000 people at a baseball game in late March on a weekday. And so that just kind of really excited me. Like, if these people are here for a baseball game, then our job is not to find these people. It's just to get these same people to have an interest in basketball. But it's been a great team effort. Not just the coaching staff, not just the players, but our marketing team, our administration, all the way down to the mayor of our city. Everybody has taken an interest in basketball, and it's been really rewarding watching what we've been able to build so quickly.
The SEC has been the best football conference in the country for a while. It's been the best baseball conference in the country for a while. This season, it became the best men's basketball conference in the country, and arguably, and there's a lot of data to support this, the greatest basketball conference we've ever seen in any one season. What was it like coaching through that?
It was challenging for sure, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. Our coaching staff, myself included, we've all coached at different levels. And so from time to time this year, on the night before a game, we were having our final preparation meeting. if anybody made a comment like, man, this is a gauntlet or the pressure of this, we all just quickly reminded ourselves that it really is a blessing to be in this spot. Every game's an NCAA tournament resume type game. I know when we coached at Little Rock, Angelo State, some other places, you dream for these opportunities. So I think it's just that balance of, yes, there's a lot of pressure. Yes, it's not easy, but we're all blessed to be here. I think if you ask any coach in the country, hey, every conference game on your schedule, would you like to play an NCAA tournament team? Then at some level, the answer would be a hard yes. And so last year's SEC play was a lot of fun. It was challenging. And I think it really prepared us all for the NCAA tournament. I think we had, 7 teams in the Sweet 16 or something like that, and that wasn't surprising.
7 teams in the Sweet 16, 2 teams in the Final Four. Florida wins the national championship. Did you see that coming? Did you know Todd Golden had a national championship team? And if so, how early?
Yes. I was one of those teams after the first couple of weeks of the conference schedule. I thought Missouri had a team that could win 6 games in 3 weekends. I thought we did. Maybe our margin for error wasn't as big as Florida or an Auburn. But we were definitely deserving. Just look at the teams that we beat on last year's schedule. That kind of speaks for itself. But I thought Florida did a good job getting better throughout the year. Specifically, in my opinion, just my opinion, I thought their defense really improved. And by the time the Final Four hit, I thought their defense really was the difference in their 2 games in San Antonio.
Wrapping up here with Chris Beard, head basketball coach at Ole Miss. Last thing before I let you go, you've continued the Memphis series. It's on the books for this upcoming season down in Oxford. How important is it, if at all, is it to continue that series with the University of Memphis? And how important, if at all, is the Memphis market in terms of recruiting for Ole Miss basketball?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of alumni, donors, fans in the Memphis area. As you know, Gary, we're only an hour straight shot down the highway. Hit the outlet mall and you're halfway there. That's kind of my purpose. Also, I just have great respect for Penny. I mean, in non-conference scheduling, we're trying to find the best teams. We're trying to play NCAA tournament teams. That's a challenge for schools. We don't all have the built-in brand to go out and just get those. I mean, our deal is we'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere. That's not an arrogant statement. That's just true. And so for the Memphis Ole Miss game, I think it makes a lot of sense. Penny is a courageous scheduler. The way he's built that program speaks for itself. I'd like to think that we're in the same category. We seek good competition. I think it's a game that makes a lot of sense for both fan bases. It makes a lot of sense for both teams. And so we played Penny when I was at Texas Tech, and we'll continue to play this series as long as it makes sense for both sides. But I have a lot of respect for Penny and what he's doing there, what he's done there, and what he'll continue to do there.
That is Chris Beard, head basketball coach at Ole Miss. Took the Rebels to the Sweet 16 this past season in just year 2. Man, it's been awesome watching what you've continued to build down there in Oxford. As a lifelong Mississippian, it's fun to see, and I can't wait to get my family back down to Oxford this upcoming season. Thank you for being here, man. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Gary. Have a great week.
All right, buddy. That's Chris Beard, head basketball coach at Ole Miss.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.